I know we've got about a 10-second delay here on it coming through to LinkedIn. And we're just going to make sure we have a couple of minutes at the start here for people to join. So while we do that, actually, Kasia, I would love to hear a little bit about how your week's been. Obviously, we had Valentine's Day yesterday, and I can see some roses behind you. I know you can see some behind me. Is there a story?
It's actually this way. It's actually tulips, not roses. Yeah, but yeah, the occasion is right.
Yeah, I love tulips. So nice for spring as well. You know what I would love to do is go and visit the tulip fields in the Netherlands.
Oh, you must definitely get invited. Yeah, actually, because I'm based in Warsaw, Poland, for past 2 days, I feel like we said goodbye to the winter, and spring is just around the corner. You can see little birds singing, and there was a full day of sunshine yesterday for the very first time for like, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks.
I feel that.
Rays of sunshine for the loved ones.
We're slowly crawling out of winter. It's been long. Yeah. I'd love to hear what the weather's like, actually, if anybody else where you're joining us from, like, can you feel spring coming in? Are you feeling loved up in the sunshine or not quite yet?
You know, spring is in the air.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Hopefully, winter sleeping is over and we are getting into this with new energy, sunshine, positive.
That sounds
going
good.
Through.
No, I'm excited for it. I had a very quiet Valentine's Day. I had plans to go to a concert with my partner, and then they came down with tonsillitis. So I was like, okay, concert maybe not the best place to be. So we ended up sitting in and watched Paddington. You know, the like. It was really cute. It was really cute.
I love it. Yeah. Well, we actually stayed at home as well. I don't like crowds, to be honest, and I understand that this is like the very special day, like a celebration day, but the like amount of people that are in the restaurants, in the cinema is just.
I totally get you. Crowds can be a little bit overwhelming, which is partly why I love digital events so much, because you can get the energy of having lots of people involved, but you're not surrounded by them. Exactly. Which, you know, I think really leads us on to introducing the topic of today. So just as a quick introduction to myself, my name is Lauren Burgess, and I'm a customer marketing manager working in the NEMEA region out of London for Staffbase. And I'm here today to introduce our premiere episode of our brand new LinkedIn Live series, Comms Club Live. So the title of today's is Beyond the 9 to 5, Reaching Non-Desk and Late Night Teams with Impact. Often very tricky when you've got comms people working the 9 to 5, still trying to keep everybody engaged and they're outside those working hours. It is a challenge. And hopefully Kasia is going to be able to give us some insight into how that's happening. So I would love for you, Kasia, to introduce yourself first. I know you're going to do a much better job of it and tell us a bit about your role.
Thanks, Lauren. So greetings from Warsaw, Poland. As we mentioned before, Katarzyna Kasa-Szablowska, Medicover, currently in the role of corporate IT solutions specialist. Well, not specialist anymore, manager now, sorry. Because now I'm responsible for implementing the communication solutions across our markets. And I've been working in IT area for 5 years now. However, I have strong communication background. So my heart is divided in half. One half is IT and technology. The other was internal comms.
I mean, I think those two things are, you know, very much a marriage these days. Like, I don't think you can really have effective internal comms without having that IT piece. So I think that sounds like a pretty dreamy combination. So myself and Kasia have a few things that we really want to talk about today, but we would absolutely love to hear any questions from the audience here. And please don't feel like you have to wait until the end to do so. Post them in at any time and we'll try and feed them into the chat and make sure that everybody gets their questions answered as much as possible. And with that, I'm going to kick off. So first of all, I would love to hear a little bit about the kind of strategies that you have in place for creating content that really resonates with those people on those different work schedules and make sure that they get that critical information. So with that in mind, the first question I have is, what challenges do organizations like Medicover commonly face when communicating effectively with those non-desk and late night teams?
Well, actually, Medicover is both healthcare and diagnostic company. So in the general, we have medical employees, lab employees, back office employees. But recently, our company actually entered into fitness market, which actually expanded fitness gym, expanded our community, and definitely differentiated it a bit, because now we have another group of non-desk workers, which are employees of the gyms, personal trainers, people who are definitely not medical employees that we've been used to. So now we have to reach them out with different, let's say, approach, because they have different focuses at work, they have different styles while they're working. Doctors are mostly focused on the patients, right? The communication that is targeted to them must be super precise, quite often in digits even, so they don't waste time that can be dedicated to the patients, right? They have limited amount of time for the patient. They have to focus on that. On the other hand, colleagues from the gyms, they are quite often work with the mobile phones, because the generation that works at the gyms is younger than doctors. So they are more tech savvy, they are more into social media. So I don't want to say that the phone is glued to their hands. However, they are spending more time on the mobile devices. So the first part is to differentiate the mean that you would reach the people, desktop versus mobile, and also in terms of the communication, digit more versus more, I would say, picture like, so they can quickly see how it is.
I mean, that makes so much sense to me, to partner medical with gyms as well, because I mean, like, it's all that amazing preventative health stuff that makes so much sense to me. So that's
360 health.
exactly, it's such a cool way to like expand into that market. One of the things you did talk about a little bit as well when we discussed this topic before was how you were dealing with kind of like global teams and the communication being more local to the market. Can you talk a little bit about how you localize the communication for those as well?
Exactly. So Medicover is currently present in more than 10 countries in Europe and also in India. So we made a decision to decentralize the intranet and the communication, because the population is quite big, and let's say we have to make sure we can reach them with relevant content at every time. So bottom line is that there is, of course, corporate communication, which includes like the CEO messages, the stock exchange reports, and everything that contains the heart of Medicover. We also cross-share the updates from different markets, so our colleagues in one country are able to see what's happening in the other. However, we put the local content and local communication in our intranet as a priority to make sure that we are reaching people with something that is close to their heart. Because from my perspective, you have to be respectful and humble when it comes to the communication, because as societies, we are overloaded and overwhelmed with different messages that are coming from different corners. And at some point, it's quite obvious you would like to avoid the communication that is necessary for you. So at this point, we made sure that the communication is local, it's relevant, and also what came recently to my mind is valid and true. True in the sense that you have to be very fair with the communication, especially now when there's a lot of fake news and misinformation coming. So you have to be very honest with that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that's so important. And one of the things that I've heard coming a lot from conversations with internal communicators is that they are kind of recognizing their employees as savvy consumers and like having that kind of honesty and transparency
Yeah.
increases trust in you as an employer, and they're more receptive to all the messages you have to say. And yeah, like with having so many different messages, like you say, everyone feels like what they've got to say is the most important thing. And I think, when you're talking about those localization tactics, that helps kind of put that power like back in control of the employee and help them feel more empowered, which is, I think, a really, really great tactic.
Yeah, because locally they know their employees, their recipients the best.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if the message is even tailored for their needs, for the communities that they have built in, it will just spread on.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, lovely. Another question I've been looking at here. What strategies have you found most effective when it comes to creating content that resonates with employees working those non-traditional hours or in non-desk roles?
Well, I'm in IT now, so I must say that data is a key. But what I mean is that we made sure that our user data is spot on, that this is the high quality data, which helped us to segmentate the users across different populations. So we have not only created the groups related to the location, but also related to the company, related to the type of work. So for example, doctors would have their community built in, nurses would have their one, and actually nurses is very nice case study. It's hard to talk with the braces, I must tell you.
You can tell
I'm
they're
still
new.
struggling. I have it for a few months and I'm still struggling. Yeah, a very nice case study, because one of our units has developed a portal, like within our intranet, dedicated portal for nurses. And this portal includes all the recent updates, even governmental one, all the rules, procedures, etc. And the engagement and activity rate that we observed was quite high, over 70% of activity and engagement in that area, which showed us that as soon as you tailor the content, as soon as you prepare and do your job, because you have to learn about your audience and meet their expectations and needs, you will succeed in that. So also, I guess we are doing the a little bit of the business and commercial when it comes to segmentate per region or city, to make sure that our employees in a given location are aware that, okay, it's not only medical center there, but you have also dental office, gym where you can go. So build the communities and build the awareness across different, let's say, parts of the company, because it's quite big, as I mentioned.
It's interesting. So I heard you talk a bit there about kind of like the communities that you have for nurses and doctors. How do you kind of like separate and organize that out? So you've already got kind of like the localized communities, and then it's by role. Like, it sounds quite complicated. How do you bring it together?
Data.
Yeah.
No, we made sure, because what I can say from my experience, implementing an intranet, it's not just comms or a marketing project. You have to involve and bring IT team, HR team, to make sure that this is the company-wide initiative and you can benefit from that. So as soon as we start an implementation, we make sure that the data that is delivered from the given unit is spot on, like I said. So we have established a set of, let's say, fields or values that are necessary to build such a segmentation. And we just go through it every time we have an implementation. And we make sure that people from those pre-identified communities are being involved, which means we invite and bring colleagues from medical departments, colleagues from operational departments, so they participate and contribute with their content as well.
That makes a lot of sense. It's something that I've heard quite a lot from ICs as well, that they have these kind of like comms champions that kind of represent their community, and it helps things better connect.
Influencers, basically. We take some great examples outside. Yeah, influencers, ambassadors.
I mean, do you find that specific pieces of content are more engaging than others? Does this differ with regions, roles, groups?
I would say that people are key. So whenever there's a piece of information that helps to recognize a person, I don't know, employee of the year, the super manager, like power manager, we have such a contest, everything that focuses about our colleagues, about their achievements, about even outside of work. We had one of the colleagues that succeeded in one of the marathons or even some singing contest, and we cherished this. So I believe the most popular ones are related with people and also contests. We have very competitive communities. So whenever there is opportunity to, for example, name our toy ambassador for kids in our children's clinics, right? Or the other one, to share your best story with your patient, to show how you did and how you helped them, right? And people could vote and select the best one. So everything that helps to promote people, praise people, recognize them, and just bring them to the stage a little bit.
That's wonderful. I think that human-centric approach, I think, is really key to a successful comm strategy. And it sounds like that is exactly what you're doing at Medicover. Just helps people feel seen, respected, celebrated. And with the competition side of it, I think gamification is like a huge trend in a lot of technology stuff. And it makes total sense that it's working in comms as well. Like, do you have any specific kind of like games or competitions you could talk about? I'm curious now.
I mentioned the one where there was the opportunity to name our toy ambassador for children's clinic, and I would stick to that because that is one of the recent ones. And yeah.
Brilliant. We have had a question come through, which I think links in here quite well, because they're talking about kind of different types of content that's coming out. So a question here from a lovely person called Annika. As such a big company, how do you cut through the noise, i.e. make sure those important messages come through loud and clear?
I would say that it's important who sends the message, where the message comes from, and definitely how to we make sure that the message not only is being sent by an important people, but also it includes the information that is relevant, as I said, right? So short, precise information when it comes to the very important messages, rather than elaborated parts. Also, I think the quarterly, the summaries that are being sent either monthly or quarterly, depending on the business, are actually quite nice, let's say, digest of what's happening in the company, which means you don't have to follow every single message that is being circulated, but you have just the digest here. So it's being precise. Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you, Annika, for this question. Very, very nice.
So I've been thinking about kind of, you talked all about all of the initiatives and stuff that you have going on. But can you recommend any kind of specific technologies or applications that you use to make this happen for your non-desk teams?
Well, speaking about strategies that we actually mentioned before, my team's strategy is actually to unlock the productivity of our colleagues across our markets by reducing the number of applications used. And actually, I think last year's Gartner study has shown that over the time of pandemic, the number of applications used by an average digital worker has grown from 6 to 11.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And nearly 50% of people who are working remotely and are using digital devices and platforms are struggling with finding correct information. So I guess that our goal is to reduce the number of applications and solutions that we are having in our company. We have our intranet, obviously, and recently entered into the email solution to make sure that we can still reach out to people who are, for example, not very keen on having mobile or having application on their private mobile phones, because that's something sometimes happens. I would say that for office, let's say, back office staff, we are also having Microsoft solutions available. But definitely the fact that we have all employees onboarded to our intranet puts that solution as the, let's say, priority and the first options that we have. Yeah, first choice.
Amazing. Talking about it being part of the onboarding process, like how do you kind of make that happen and encourage people to get on like new systems?
Exactly. So basically, we introduced our intranet as a part of the onboarding system. It doesn't mean that the onboarding gets through the intranet. It happens either on site or remotely, of course. But we put our Medicover, which is our app, into the agenda. So everyone that comes to the onboarding day is being given the access, is being given the credentials that can lead him to the platform. We strongly encourage our colleagues, especially from medical and now gym communities, to download the app, because definitely this part of our intranet, which is native app, helps us a lot in reaching them, because it actually facilitated the transition that we made from poster to pop-up, right? That comes from our mobiles.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about how there is like still so many kind of teams that are out in the field and stuff that do get all of their information from things like posters and notice boards, and there's a complete lack of visibility into whether people are actually engaging with it, if they're getting the information. And I know you've talked a little bit about data and the importance of that. Have you found that with the digital solution, like the kind of insights that you're having now, how has that changed how you approach your strategy?
That was something that I had also in my mind right now, that analytics panel definitely helps us both in the email solution and intranet solution, employee app, helps us to identify what content, what information is popular, relevant, how we can reach the people who are not yet in this group. Or, for example, if they didn't open the mail, we can re-email them or resend the communication, which is super helpful, especially in terms of the messages that you have to acknowledge something or you have to report something and the time is short. So definitely analytics helps us to build up better communication and to have it more effectively distributed across our markets, basically. Even though we have entered into email solution recently and it hasn't been on board rollout, in all of our markets, it definitely improved the top-down communication that we have. Yeah, because we had some issues with people who are not keen to open the mail. Sometimes the mail get lost, and now we can see and analyze everything that comes with that.
Yeah, I think there's always that kind of section of employees that like might be fantastic in all other ways, but they just don't like to engage in stuff like this. And I think, yeah, it's tough, but having those analytics, I think, can help you focus on what does work, like you say.
It has to be personal.
Yeah.
I believe that you have to feel that this is a part of you. So, for example, we also managed to personalize our intranet, I think, to the very extent that we could. Because, for example, there is a personalized welcome information, welcome note for each user. So, hi, Katarzyna, welcome to, right? We have tailored and set up the start pages. So if you are, for example, from an IT department, you have the general content and dedicated content for you as an IT person. So you have very quick path to something, to the content, to the part of the intranet that is dedicated to you. Similar to our colleagues from dental area. They log in, they see general content, and they see content dedicated for them. I think that definitely it helped them to consume our messages and whatever is being put in the intranet, because it's 2 clicks away from them.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so good, so good. I think one other thing that I'm curious about hearing is we've talked a lot about kind of personalizing the information that you're putting out, but I'm thinking a little bit about how you can create a communication culture that makes sure you're valuing input from all employees, so kind of not just those champions,
Yeah.
regardless of their work hours or roles. How are you making sure that those people feel seen, feel included?
Yeah, well, this is what we mentioned, right? About recognize your people. That's the first thing. So they are a part of the communication as a subject matter, so to speak, right? So they are praised and celebrated. The other part is to have, we strongly recommend as a team to have the comments enabled and encourage our colleagues, our employees to leave their feedback, even if it's the simple, hey, share your thoughts on that in the comments below, right? And we made a rule, let's say, that no comment that is related with some complaint or the fact that someone is not very happy with the message is not being left without an answer. So we make sure that whenever necessary, there is a prompt information, prompt feedback. Hey, thank you for pointing this out. Let's take this topic offline. I will reach you out, or a relevant person will reach you out. Also, we decided to use the survey feature because the survey feature has a very nice option, which is NPS. So we are sending from time to time the information and the pop-up, hey, what do you think about this? How did you evaluate this? And that gives us the opportunity to quickly, because it's just in a blink of an eye, quickly collect the information on a given topic from our employees. I guess that the feedback, if they can leave it, it helps them to understand that they are a part of this. Right? It's one of a big journey that we are all being a part of this, and it's not just us versus them; it's we.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think moving to those kind of more digital formats for comms is one of a big way that you can have like not just this top-down approach, but that actually like two-way communication that does make people feel involved and heard and all of that important stuff. I'm aware that we're coming up to the last couple of minutes of our call. So I did just want to have a couple of mentions. Kelly has just posted in there as well. We've got a really cool free virtual event coming up on May 16th, which is Voices. So it's going to be all about celebrating the incredible things that everybody's doing in internal communications. We do have lots more kind of events, educational webinars, LinkedIn Lives coming up as well. So please do check out the Staffbase website. And if you're not already following us on LinkedIn, please do that too, so you can get to see everything that's coming out. Our next LinkedIn Live is going to be taking place on the 29th, and there's going to be some promotional stuff coming out for that very soon, so you can learn more about it. And I just obviously wanted to take a moment to thank Kasia for her fantastic answers here and for sharing so much about what you're doing at Medicover. I've had the chance to meet Kasia a few times now, and genuinely just such a wonderful, warm person. And it's really great to be a partner in your success at Medicover. I know you're doing fantastic things with the Staffbase intranet and app. If you do want to learn a bit more about, this is for our audience, if you do want to hear a bit more about what we can do for you at Staffbase in terms of the technologies and communications platforms that we're providing, please do get in touch and we would love to have a chat with you. Thank you so much, Kasia. Is there anything else you want to share?
Well, all I can say is to thank you for being a part of our revolution, from posters to pop-up, and for supporting us in every step of the way. I don't want to say we wouldn't be able to do it without you, but your support, all of the colleagues and the teams that we've been cooperated with, was just enormous. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. From posters to pop-up is such a great tagline. I feel like we need a new campaign now, digitizing your comms. That's a great line. We'll make sure you're credited for that one.
Feel free to use it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.